Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. Today I want to read some comments from a video I did a couple of months ago, 5 reasons the haters are wrong about the Intellivision Amico. Now this video's intent was not to say, the video I did a couple of months ago, I wasn't saying you have to like the Amico, or that you can't dislike the Amico, or that you have to think it's going to do well. My only point was to say I think it's wrong to maybe root for it to fail, or just say you know it's going to be awful, or something like that without having played it or tested it, or really given it a chance for it to come out. Yeah, it is running late, but when we do get a hands-on demonstration, we will be able to judge better. Now, being an old guy who grew up playing the Intellivision, I'm excited about it, and I think it will succeed because I think Tommy's doing a great job. I think the company has done a great job of promoting this console. And I suppose ultimately it'll come down to if parents will buy it for their kids, but I know a lot of old school retro gamers like myself are really excited about it. And it's okay if you're not excited about the Amico. It's okay if you predict that it's not going to do well. My point is not to say, you have to love it or anything. I'm just saying that it would be nice to give it a chance, and I am positive about it. So I'm going to read some of these comments. Now, some comments on 5 reasons the haters are wrong, a video I did a couple of months ago, and I will post a link to that. Some of the comments I had to delete because they were super hateful, but I kept just polite negative comments, and of course there were plenty of positive comments as well. Now, if any of you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments that you are a new subscriber, and I will comment. I appreciate that. That would be awesome. So let's get to the comments on 5 reasons the haters are wrong about the Intellivision. Read some comments for you guys. And I'm going to comment on the comments, just kind of let you know where I'm thinking about these things that people are saying. Kill-9 says, I think it's great. Companies are trying new things, such as bringing retro and indie games to the main screen. I was about to say main screen. Mainstream. Although main screen, I guess, would apply too. However, I'm not sure who this device is for. The current gen doesn't appreciate retro gaming and just wants flashy graphics. Now, I suppose that applies to a certain percentage of modern gamers, maybe a large percentage. But I think there are, plenty of modern gamers that could handle old school gaming if it's done right and it's fun. Even if the graphics aren't super flashy. Me personally, Kill-9 continues, if the games are a remake, I want the retro-looking pixel art. Now, that's an interesting comment because all or most of the Amico games we've seen, the gameplay footage, it's not pixel art. It's sort of modern-looking, more detailed graphics. It's not the specifically pixel-looking art, but I'm sure they will have some of that. And they are having, you will be able to play at some point the original Intellivision games on the Amico. But for remakes, it would be nice to see more pixelated type games that are homages to the graphical style from the early 80s. That's a good point. He continues, the main issue with this console is the price to convince non-diehard fans of the Intellivision to pay $250 is just too much. We will see about that in a few months. Thomas Burke said, I'm saying that, we'll see about that in a few months. So we'll see about that Kill-9, thanks for commenting. Thomas Burke says, I have the original Intellivision, and even my nephews all thought the Amico trailer of gameplay bits was awesome. Way to go, nephews, I'm saying. And all they play is Minecraft, and they argue about it. And then he goes on to say, his nieces have an SNES and argue over Mario. They can all play Amico together. Cheaper, faster, safer, quieter, cooler, and easier than most consoles. Now, perhaps this is true. I think the Amigo will be a great multiplayer system, and perhaps you can use it to get, your younger family members to stop arguing over one-player games and to play together, whether it's co-op or competitively. So I think that's a good point. I think that will be a good selling point of the Amico. Not having to wait your turn or have somebody hog the console. The Amico is so geared towards multiplayer gaming. Every game is going to be multiplayer to some degree. 2, 4 more players. That it could be. That's a good point. So thank you for that, Thomas Burke. Next, Julia Bogoslawska is answering to Thomas Burke. I have kids, and they would much rather have a Switch any day of the week. The Switch is a great console for multiplayer games as well. That's true, Julia. But we'll see how the Amico does for this market, the multiplayer market. I think it'll do well. Now, Mr. T-Bone SF says, get each kid, he's saying this instead of an Amico, get each kid a $28 tablet. I personally didn't know tablets were that cheap. And play the hundreds of couch co-op games from the Android store where each person uses their own screen. Now that's true, each kid can have their own tablet or cell or whatever and play these games, but that is different than the communal experience on the TV screen. But thanks anyway, Mr. T-Bone SF, I appreciate that. And then some people just weighed in with get a RetroPie or a Mr. DIY, or there's other ways to play retro gaming. There are definitely a lot of ways to play retro games, and retro style games and vintage games, but I think the Amico is going to be one of the more intriguing ones. So, next up, Justin Panito says, I think the design of the system is absolutely badass. I have to agree there. 2 controllers dock on top, not just to charge, but also for storage. So more space isn't being taken up just to sit the controllers next to the console. I do like that as well, because in my game room, I've got controllers sitting beside the consoles all over the place, and when some of them are sitting on top, it just looks kind of awkward. So I do like that they dock on top of the Amico. So Justin continues, plus 2 controllers, each with their own touchscreen, come with the console. Absolutely, I think it's great that the Amico 2 controllers come with it. Some consoles these days have no controllers, and so many of them just have 1 controller. In the old days of the Intellivision, Atari 2600, ColecoVision, Master System, all these old consoles had 2 controllers. They just assumed you were going to play them with your friends and family members, like the Amigo is assuming, and I love that. And they're not forcing you to buy extra controllers, or an extra controller. I like that a lot. Next, let's see, MANC Man, Mancman 6969. Not sure you want to use those numbers. It looks like a fun system. I could play with my 8-year-old. Nice. Next up, Evil Weenie says, well, the brutal honesty, actually, with a name like Evil Weenie, is going to be super positive. He goes, well, the brutal honesty is all the games look like S-bomb, but he uses the word cell phone games that no one wants to play. Now, no one is a little strong there because I know a lot of people that are excited about the Amico. The only thing carrying this console is Earthworm Jim 100%. I think that's definitely an exaggeration, but thank you for weighing in, Evil Weenie. Next up, let's hear from Christopher Hartman. Growing up, I had friends with the Intellivision. I could never get used to the controller. Plus, I thought the graphics paled in comparison to the ColecoVision. Now, I can relate to this a little bit because I did love the Intellivision, but I liked the ColecoVision better, and I wasn't crazy about the Intellivision disc controller, at least compared to the Atari 2600 and ColecoVision. I like those controllers a lot better. Christopher Hartman goes on. However, the Amico looks interesting. Not sure if it can compete with all the other consoles and retro mini systems out there. So many choices these days. Now, that's definitely a good point. There are a ton of gaming options out there, whether it's new games or retro games, plug and plays. There are so many companies putting out retro games, retro-inspired games, compilations, collections, plug and plays, compilation discs, or even here and there. Absolutely a tough market. New consoles coming out. You get the new iterations of the PlayStation and Xbox. Wow, it's a competitive market. So the Amico definitely has its work cut out for it. Next up is Original Grasshopper. He says, she says, I've pre-ordered an Amico and I'm super stoked to play it later this year. I am an old school gamer. I turned 53 in a couple of weeks. Welcome to the 53 Club. And played the Intellivision starting in 1979. I started playing in 80 and have no interest in the modern PlayStation or Xbox consoles. Dreamcast was the last new system I purchased 20 years ago. But I do love the updated remakes of the Intellivision classics that the Amico will have, so I am absolutely the key demographic that they are aiming for with this console. Now, there's one thing I would argue a little bit there. Their main key demographic they're shooting for is moms and dads and their kids, not the old school gamers like us. Now, obviously, the initial push has been about us. They've been interviewing YouTubers and old school gamers and retro gamers. But as we get closer to the system launch, they're going to be pushing more and more to parents and kids. And I think the system won't succeed if it doesn't appeal to that market of parents and kids, because that's where most of the money's going to be. And so I disagree with this a little bit, but Original Grasshopper does make some great points as well. Next up is Pong by Atari, Tim A. He says there are some there are some mobile games that the only thing that keeps them from being fun is trying to play them on the phone. Great point. I've said all along that the Amico plays on the TV. That is much different than cell phone games. Plus, there are a lot of games, he goes on, that are unique to the Amico, so no worries here. Completely agree. Thank you for that. Pong by Atari, Tim A. Next up is Paul Mindeman. I'm a fan. I've got a couple of young kids, and things like the PS5 and Series X make no sense for them. I want a modern Wii-like experience, and the Amico is it. Yes, some games are reimagined versions of older games, but that's great. Those were really fun, easy to learn games I'd love to play in HD on modern controls. Completely agree. Thank you for that, Paul Mindeman. Next up is Space Mutiny. Love your channel and books, but on this I have to respectfully agree. I always welcome respectful agreements, so thank you, Space Mutiny. He goes on. I canceled my pre-order, and I believe this will suffer the same fate as the Ouya, but time will tell. I think it'll do much better than the Ouya, if you guys haven't guessed that by now. But thank you, Space Mutiny, for that. All right, guys, so let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Intellivision Amico. Obviously, I'm very excited about it, and again, I have no guarantees that it'll do great. I have no guarantees that it'll do well at all. Maybe it'll suffer the fate of the 32X, and stacks of it will be at various stores blowing them out. I seriously doubt that. I think it's going to be a very popular, very fun console that's going to catch on with modern gamers who want something simple to introduce to their kids, something multiplayer to introduce to their kids, something old school that we grew up playing with to introduce to our grandkids, if I ever get any, that kind of thing. And also just think it looks like a ton of fun with remakes and reimaginings of the old Intellivision games. But let me know in the comments what you think of the Intellivision Amico, your hopes for it, your skepticism about it, your cynicism about it, your positive thoughts, your negative thoughts. But just please be respectful, be polite, or your comments will get deleted. You can be abrupt, you can be direct, you can be very negative, very positive. Just be polite, and we can, whether you love the Amico, the idea of the Amico, whether you hate the idea of the Amico, or you're somewhere in between, hope we can all be friends, and I hope you will like this video, subscribe to the channel, and again, comment that you have subscribed, and we will talk. Speaking of talking, we will talk to you in another video. Peace out. We'll see you.